Hello everyone, hearty welcome. The topic of this video is testing of hypothesis. The aim of making this video is to facilitate especially the undergraduate students of BCom or BBM whose subject of study is statistics and one of the topic being testing of hypothesis. So here you can see the title includes two terminologies. One is testing and the other is hypothesis. Testing is literally, we mean it's examining. So hypothesis is an assumption or a belief. So testing of one's assumption or belief is called hypothesis testing. To test this, we use certain statistical parameters or scientifically proven statistical tools so that whatever assumption you or somebody makes or researcher makes can be statistically tested, and then based on that we can decide whatever you assumed is correct or not. So if this video is helpful for others also apart from these undergraduate students, others are welcome to view. And then in this video the more of concepts of hypothesis is given importance. Before we could understand the hypothesis testing, we should know the terminology of hypothesis. So hypothesis is a belief or statement or an assumption. Especially this is useful for social science where direct knowledge of population is rare, where the population is the entire pool from which a statistical sample is drawn. A population may be an entire group of people, events, etc. So this population is normally represented as a parameter. So suppose for example, if we want to make a study of the height of women in the world, so this is a height of women in the world is 160 centimeter. So this is an assumption. So it may not be true. The height of the women in the world may be below 160 centimeter or above 160 centimeter. But we make an assumption that height of all the women in the world is 160 centimeter. So if we have to go further for the study, we have to take the data of height of the women in the world. Height. So this women in the world are large in number. So we cannot, it's time consuming and it takes a lot of energy and time to get all these information collected. So what we do, we take only sample out of these women's, maybe some 10% of the samples or 5% of the sample, depends, and study is made with data collected from these samples of 10%. Suppose there are 1 lakh women in the world, just an example. So you can take sample of only 10%. So 1 lakh out of 10% is you are studying only 10% of women in the world, height of the 10% of women in the world, and that is put for statistical testing. And once the testing is out, we have to decide decision area should be fixed, and then you can see whether your assumption or null hypothesis is true or not. Your assumption or your statement is the height of the men in the world is equal to 160 centimeter, may be or may not be proven. So that can be known only with further studies, statistical studies. So this statistical study of the assumption is known as hypothesis testing of the population by taking the samples. So this hypothesis paves the way for new experiments and observations. So it opens up further for further research and new experiments, and new kind of decision can be taken based on this hypothesis because it is a systematic study by implementing scientific tools or techniques of statistics whereby you can make the decisions. And again, continue with the meaning of the hypothesis. So it's a set of logical and statistical guidelines which is used to make the decision from sample statistics to population characteristics. So I told you the height of the women in the world. Suppose the women in the world, the number of women in the world is 10 lakhs. So we take 10% of 10 lakhs, that comes around 1 lakh. So we take the sample of just an example of 1 lakh, and we collect the data for 1 lakh, that is height of 1 lakh women in the world, and then we can compare it with the population characteristics to get the result. And then this hypothesis is a predictive statement which needs to be tested by scientific methods. So it is only a statement. Hypothesis is just a belief or statement which needs to be tested. So for testing purposes, we have to use some scientifically proven statistical tests. So this hypothesis builds a relationship between, and it helps us to know the relationship between the variables, that is various factors that are responsible for your study. And this is shows the explanation as to the behavior, phenomenon, or events that have occurred or will occur. So these are the examples that I felt it is very interesting to make you understand what is hypothesis. The first example being, bankers assumed high income earners are more profitable than low income earners. So this may be a study based on the banking, or bankers themselves may conduct the research to know what category of the income earners are beneficial to them. So accordingly, they have assumed this is they have made an assumption. So here, high income earners are more profitable than low income earners. So this is an belief or assumption that should be statement that should be proved. So here, once you put this particular assumption into statistical test or hypothesis test, whatever they have assumed may be correct or may not be correct. And then again, the second example is, old clients were more likely to diminish cumulative deposit balances by large amounts compared to younger clients. Old clients means people who are like clients for several years and generations together. So they'll have more balances when compared to younger clients, because younger clients are more interested in other investment options, because they always expect more return within a short span of time. So you can assume such kind of things, and study can also be made by having this kind of assumption. So once you, after making the study, this assumption may be or statement may be true or false, that we need to prove. So thereby, there is a conventional wisdom which suggests that old clients have a larger portfolio of assets and they don't want to risk. Older clients in the sense clients who are customers in the bank, who are there, who transact with the bank for years together, they'll have larger portfolio of assets, and because they are very less prone to risk, they don't want to take much risk. So coming to the main concepts of hypothesis testing. So this helps you a lot to go ahead with your study in future. So the first concept of hypothesis. This I am going to take one by one. Null hypothesis. As soon as you want to make a research or make any studies, you have to bring about the hypothesis. You have to define your hypothesis or fact or a statement, and then based on that you have to go further with deriving null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Then you have to fix your level of significance. Then you have to see your critical region. Then you have to decide, and then you have to know about the type 1 and type 2 error. And then you have to know about your two-tailed one-tailed test. Now to take up the first concept of hypothesis testing, which is very crucial, very important step. Types of hypothesis. So there are two types of hypothesis: null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis is normally represented as HO or H naught. Alternative hypothesis can be represented, can be written in either way, either HA or H1. So here we have an example of defining these null and alternative hypothesis. So null hypothesis is an hypothesis which again we will take an example of heights of women in the world is equal to 160 centimeter. That is our assumption. Now you have to, from this assumption, you have to bring out null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So null hypothesis is assuming that height of the women in the world is equal to 160 centimeter. So that is null hypothesis. That means we have to prove that height of the women in the world is equal to 160 centimeter. That is null hypothesis which needs to be proved. And alternative hypothesis is against this null hypothesis, which is height of the women in the world is not is equal to 160 centimeter. So we have to collect the data with regard to this height of the women in the world, the sample of women in the world, that we can take the sample by any of the sampling methods, and then we need to test it to prove whether height is 160 centimeter or not 160 centimeter. If height is 160 centimeter is proven, your null hypothesis is accepted. If it is not proven, your null is rejected. Automatically the alternative hypothesis is accepted. So this is the there are three ways of writing null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Null hypothesis is equal to sample mean is equal to the population mean, and it's greater than or less than, and again this side alternative hypothesis not equal to, greater than, less than. And the next step after after identifying your null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, the next level is level of significance. So this is also called as LOS. The short form of this level of significance is LOS. So this level of significance is fixed or determined in advance of testing of hypothesis. Before you could go for the testing, you have to fix the level of significance. So this is a maximum value of the probability of rejecting null hypothesis when it is true. So again, we'll take an example of height of the women in the world is equal to 166 centimeter is your null hypothesis. So before making study, you have to fix out of this statement of null hypothesis, how much percentage of this assumption can be rejected. In other way, how much percentage of HO null hypothesis can be rejected. That means women in the world, the height of the women in the world is equal to 160 centimeter, can be rejected at certain level. So this rejection level of null hypothesis is called level of significance. So this rejection level can be 1%, 5%, 10%. Level of significance can be 1%, 5%, 10%. So one among these levels. So the ideal percentage of rejection point or level of significance is 5%. If it is 1% rejection level, then out of 100 minus 1, you accept 99% null hypothesis as correct. That means height of the men in the world is 160 centimeter to the extent of 99%, and you reject before testing 1%. Again, if the level of significance fixed is 5%, 100 minus 5% is 95%. You accept the height of the men in the world to the extent of 95% and reject it to the extent of 5%. If you select 10% as level of significance, 100 minus 10 is equal to 90%. You accept 90% the null hypothesis and reject 10% the null hypothesis. So this is risk of rejecting null hypothesis when it is true. So you are taking the risk of rejecting the HO. Maybe it may come true after studies. And after this, the next step is you have to establish critical or rejection region. So the rejection region, again, this is only a basics of hypothesis testing. So there are three kinds of tests: one tail test, right? Two kind of tests: one tail test, two tail test. One tail test can be left side test or right side. It can incline towards the left side or right side. And two tail test both, as you could see on the diagram. This is an example for two tail test. So under two tail test, so I've shown in the previous slide, there are three methods of deriving the null and alternative hypothesis: is equal to, greater or less, not is equal to, greater or less as the alternative hypothesis. So is equal to is the two-tailed test. If you assume that like height of the women in the world is 160 centimeter is not equal to 160 centimeter, this is called two-tailed test. So you have on either side the rejection region, and the center you have acceptance region. So you have to use certain parametrical tests, like basic parametric tests are Z-test and T-test. So after getting the Z value, by substituting the values in the formulas related to Z-test, you arrive at a value, and you arrive this value to the table value, Z table value and T table value, and then you have to compare. So the more of this is already covered in my videos that are sent to my students and also available in the YouTube. So you can go through these videos for illustration based on this two-tailed test and rejection region and critical value Z-test and T-test calculation. After this, you have to select the suitable test of significance, or you have to test the statistic. So here for this, we have to answer these, we have to derive the answer for these questions. The first is whether the test involves one sample or two sample tests. So one sample is you are taking only one sample, two sample is you are taking two samples. In your study, you can extract one sample or two sample, And here, whether it is the sample that you have selected is independent or dependent. Really, it is a dependent. So samples can be independent or it can be dependent, or it can be more independent or more dependent, two independent or more than two independent, or one independent or more than one independent. Depending on that, you have to select statistical tools to prove your assumption. And then the scale of measurement needs to be fixed. It can be, the scale of measurement is normally four scales of measurements: nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio scale. Nominal scale is normally the categorical scale, like your name of the person and gender of the person, income of the family, so education qualification of the family. This is called nominal scale of measurement of your data. Ordinal scale is the rank. Normally ordinal scale is used in qualitative data, where it is not possible for you to convert the qualitative into quantitative data, like ranking, performance, or job satisfaction, beauty. So this kind of data can be classified under ordinal. And interval scale is the like class interval, like 10 to temperature is 10 degree to 20 degree. So this is called interval scale. And ratio scale is like you compare one with the other. That is, income of A is twice than income of B. Income of B is twice less than income of A. This is the ratio scale. And then this is the table which shows the population size, population standard deviation, and the sample size. Depending on these parameters, we have to decide whether we have to use this z-test or t-test in order to prove our assumption. So the basic tests are z-test and t-test. So here the sample size is represented as small n. Sample size is more than 30 and the distribution is normal distribution. And if the standard deviation is known, you can use the z-test. And if standard deviation is unknown, normal distribution, also you can use the z-test. And then if the sample is less than 30, equal to or less than 30, and the distribution is normal, you can use t-distribution. Even then, you do not have an idea of the standard. And then again, this helps you to choose your test. So if the population is normal, this is in the case of normality. If it is no, if the sample size is more than or is equal to 30, you can either use non-parametric test or z-test. If the population is normal, if it is S and the standard deviation is known, you can use z-test. If the standard deviation is not known, you can use t-test. So again, you have a formula at the end uh, below to find out the z-test and t-test depending on the situation. So just to try to understand, if the sample is more than 30, you can use z-test. If it is less than 30, you can use t-test. And in the t-test, you can use the t-test where the standard deviation is not known, is not given in the problem. So if standard deviation is given or not, you can use z-test. Z-test is a safe kind of test. It is a good test, and where in all the situations you can use the z-test. That is, if sample is more or less than 30, if standard deviation is known or unknown, you can use the z-test to calculate the test. And then t-test can be used when the sample is less than 30 and your standard deviation is unknown. And then you have to decide. Now we have calculated the test values, we have table values. Now we have to compare the test values with the table value to decide whether to accept our null hypothesis or to reject. So we have to prove only the null hypothesis. If you cannot prove the null hypothesis, you have to reject the null hypothesis. Automatically, alternative hypothesis is accepted. And then there are two types of errors. This is also one of the concept of hypothesis testing. One is type 1 error and the other is type 2 error. Type 1 error occurs when you reject the HO. HO is null hypothesis when HO is true. HO may be true, null hypothesis may be true in spite of the thing that you are rejecting. Like again, we are coming back to our example that we have taken. Height of the women in the world is equal to 160 centimeter is a null hypothesis in an example. So height of women in the world is 160 centimeter. We are rejecting at the level of significance of 5%. Then that 5% significance level is called type 1 error. So we are rejecting the null hypothesis when it is true. So if HO is true after the study, that 5% that whatever you have assumed is type 1 error. And type 2 error is accepting the null hypothesis when it is wrong. So when the null hypothesis is wrong, you cannot accept. So if you accept, it leads to type 2 error. Type 1 error is represented as alpha. Type 2 error is represented as beta. The other two correction is taking the correct decision, that is accepting null hypothesis when it's true and rejecting null hypothesis when it is. And then this is the table value I said. After calculating either Z test or T test, you have to compare the table value at 3 level of significance. You can have only 1 level of significance. Alpha is equal to 0.10. That is, if your level of significance is 10%, the table value in the case of one-tailed and two tails are given as plus or minus 1.28, plus or minus 1.645. Likewise, if your level of significance or alpha is 5%, that is 0.05, you have a table value. If your alpha is 1%, that is 0.01, you have table value. That is, table value is readily available. And by using this table value, you can compare the Z value or T value that you have to calculate. And then you have to decide whether you're not rejected. Thank you.